Hi guys, welcome back to the Perk and Pace Podcast. Today we're filming at the incredible Settle, which is a brand new development in the heart of Birmingham's vibrant jewellery quarter.
Yeah, so we're just off St Paul's Square today. Settle is designed with wellness at its core, offering spacious modern apartments, as you can see, decorated to an incredible standard. It's not just a home, more like a community.
Residents have some pretty cool exclusive access to amenities such as a wellness studio, there's a rooftop terrace and also a co-working lounge.
There's still a few 1 and 2 bedroom apartments available to purchase, so if you've ever thought about living in one of Birmingham's coolest spots, get involved.
Head over to settle.space and book your appointment today. Right, let's get into the podcast.
Sorry, I'm going to get rid of the cough sweet that I've got in my mouth as well.
No, you suck on it, sweetheart.
Put that in as a
We're
sound.
recording, right?
Yeah. Clickbait.
Oh, are we actually? Sick.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I can say that because I've actually known Tara a really long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of my career.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was actually just reminiscing. The first time we officially met? Do you know why I came in that day? Did I tell you?
No.
I wanted to steal you.
Really?
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
I tried. I fucking tried, if you remember. Welcome back to the Perk and Pace Podcast. I'm Lydia.
I'm Matt.
And today we are joined by Tara, Chef Tara. Who has is a very, very talented chef, and she, up until recently, has been the head chef of the Gifford Circus, amongst many other accolades. We will go into that, but
first, we're going to do quick fire. So stuff that you've not prepared for,
Okay.
but you're just going to give us the first thing that comes to your head.
Oh, God.
Don't worry.
don't overthink
This
it.
could
Yeah.
get a little interesting.
Tension. Go-to coffee order.
Chai latte.
Nice.
Sorry. Do you know,
Go on.
people keep trying and people, like, I had an ex that was like, you know what we should get you started on? A macchiato.
No,
That is an
That's an
espresso.
ex-
That's quite
a
an
strong-
intense
yeah.
coffee
that's
to
where you
get.
start, people.
No, and I've had people like over the years, you know, oh, try this, try that. And I'm always down for trying. Like, it's a pet peeve of mine when people are like, I hate this, I'll never ever try again. Someone might present me with a coffee or peas in a way that I have never tasted it before.
You don't like peas?
No. But again,
Coffee peas.
when they're cooked in different ways and things, you know, and there might be a coffee out there that's for me, but I also feel like this is me with no caffeine. Imagine, like, yeah. I'm curious. I'm curious if you guys get all that like real super buzz, because I'm just like that 24/7.
I'll find the coffee for you.
Go-to eggs order, so scrambled, poached.
Oh, scrambled. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, but again, I'm really particular about this. So like, I love my scrambled eggs, but you know, sometimes you go out and it's like, it's overcooked and there's too much milk in it.
Yeah.
And I like that really yellow, kind of silky, borderline.
Not quite cooked.
Yeah. But like not snotty.
Salty.
Yes.
Buttery.
Oh, God. Yes. Butter. That's all. Eggs and butter. That's all you need to put in there. Like, I'm purist when it comes to scrambled eggs.
Love it. Favourite sort of Midlands-based hospitality spot?
Oh, God, that is really tough. And I'm going to absolutely sound like I'm just blowing smoke
stop
up you.
it.
But Warwick Street Kitchen.
I thought you were going to say Warwick Street there.
Lola's.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Lola's
Lola, yeah.
fucking
Moment for
amazing.
Lola.
But when I was living in Leamington, obviously not only great and interesting brunch offers, like flavour-wise, you've seen my work, you know that it's not just a nice fry up, you know, you want something a bit different. But the evenings that you did as well, the taco nights, the pasta nights, everyone that I wasn't working or didn't have a supper club on or whatever, and if I could get down to it, I was messaging everyone and dragging people along, because your team, like the flavours, the menu, honestly, it's just, everything is so well thought out.
I'm gonna cry.
But you can, like, it's the type of place I go to and I'm like, I'm going to order the whole menu. And I'm pretty sure on a couple of those nights,
You did.
like, I have
I think
ordered the
you
whole
did.
menu because I want to try everything. I want to see what you've got. So, yeah, genuinely, like...
That's going to be the best answer we've
And I swear to God, I didn't think you were going to say that.
No,
So
I
thank
mean,
you
there
very
are
much.
some other really good ones as well. And, you know, different things for different reasons. And, like, God, I haven't lived in Leamington or Stratford for a few years now. So it's kind of like trying to remember. But again, Lola's, like, that's a lovely little chilled wine bar. You can have, like, snacks and things. I'm so pleased that they're staying. It's great. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of good places. But it's nice to have something that's different. You can go into anywhere and get a good breakfast, but I want to try different things, you know? So yeah.
Preach. Thank you.
Hospitality pet peeve.
Oh, people who hate things. And I know we've just had the don't like coffee, don't like peas, but I just think people can be so close-minded. I get it. We've all had bad experiences as a kid. We've all had Brussels sprouts boiled to a mushy pulp and overcooked beef and things like that.
Yeah.
I get it. I do. But I think it's so important. And it really bothers me when people are like, oh, I'm foodie, but I don't eat that and I don't eat that.
Stay open-minded.
And they're just very close. Yeah, very close-minded.
Try it in a different way.
Yeah.
Someone might have had an idea. Oh, so I was in Bali about a month ago-ish, maybe. It's been a blur of a couple of months. And I went and did a cooking course out there, and we made this green bean salad with fresh coconut and turmeric and this like base paste with ginger and garlic and all the amazing flavors you'd expect out there. And I cannot stand green beans. Like, I hated them for 34 years. Absolutely like the worst thing ever. Oh my God.
Amazing.
I ate the whole of this thing.
Just
I
shows
cooked
you.
loads of other bits as well and tried them, but I was like, I want to take this whole plate of beans home. Like, I now want to eat beans with every meal. And it just really bothers me when people are like, well, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, just have an
try it,
open
yeah,
mind.
be
You
open-minded,
never know.
yeah.
You never have to eat it again. That's absolutely fine. But
Love it.
please.
It's a personality type though, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Desert island food.
Oh, that is a hard one.
Only have one food for the rest of your life.
Tacos.
Oof.
Does it have to be like a specific? Because again, I you know, all these like podcasts and stuff where it's like off menu and your dream menu. I agonize over that on a daily basis. I'm like, what would I actually pick?
Yeah, no, we're going to hold you to this. This is it now. You
It's
can
like the
only
whole
have
death
that.
row meal conversation.
Like, what mood am I going to be in
Yeah.
then? Am I going to be sad and want to comfort eat myself to
I've
you
got
know,
too much
the
to think
lethal
about.
injection?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think tacos, I think they're versatile, they're great, they're so much flavor. Like, I love things like pickled pineapple and stuff. You know, you've got the good flavor and that contrast of something zingy and fresh and heat and
Elevate
sweet.
it.
Yeah, tacos.
What would be your death row? Have we spoke about this?
Poppadoms.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, of course.
Honestly, I will just eat poppadoms
Just like
for the rest of my life. I mean, yeah, with the dips or without the dips, I don't care. I don't care. What about you?
Mine would probably be like a burger, like a good smash burger. You know, like a proper
Oh,
burger.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really big on that sort of stuff.
Ian?
Probably all the Cheerios.
Oh, the Cheerios!
Cheerio!
How apt! Brilliant. On that cheerful note.
Cheerio.
Oh my God.
Right, Tara, down to business. In a nutshell, for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us about your background, like your journey to this point. Who are you? Where you're from? Go.
Okay, so I'll try and keep this relatively brief. But from London originally, went and did drama at uni, was convinced I was going to be an actress.
Thespian.
Yes, very, very dramatic growing up as a child. And then, yeah, kind of got to uni, did all of those things, ticked the boxes. I mean, obviously, when you're doing work like that, I've been working in hospitality for, 15 years now. But that was waitressing, bar work and things sort of alongside. Got my degree, moved back to London and was like, right, this is it. What am I going to do? And I ended up falling into teaching drama for a little bit, which was fun. Like, it was freelance stuff. So like outside of school, after school clubs, weekend things like that. But I don't like children.
I was just about to say, it was secondary school kids or?
4 to 18. So
Oh, wow. So the whole
yeah,
stuff.
complete.
Okay. Yeah.
Which again was nice because, you know, like in my many various other jobs around this, one of them was working at a rugby club. And I remember doing a rugby tour, coming back very hungover from a weekend in Paris. And just being like, kids, today we're going to play Sleeping Lions. And they loved it.
Who can
And
keep
I
their
was
eyes
like,
closed the
this is
longest?"
great. You're quiet.
You're a
Wonderful. But yeah, so taught for a little bit. And then ended up getting made redundant in London, moved up to the Midlands, just cost of living and things. Ended up in a kitchen sales job, which I absolutely hated. I'm not a salesperson. Like, I'm so bad at it. If people are like, I don't need this, I'm like,
Okay.
ooh, like, you know more than I do. How can I sell you that? So yeah, and then kind of was floundering a little bit and kind of didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and kept trying different careers and things, and all while sort of keeping a toe in hospitality, as you tend to do, I think, when you're studying and things like
Shift
that,
work, yeah.
because it's easy, it's flexible. And it's always a good laugh as well. Like, you meet a lot of good people that want to go out drinking on a Monday night when you're free.
And you've got to get up at like 5
Yeah.
o'clock, so.
But yeah, was encouraged by my ex-husband to actually pursue food. He was like, you know, you love it. But I was 26 at the time. So I was like, I've missed this boat by like 10 years. Like, everyone that I know as a chef left school at 16. They went to culinary school. Like, they're miles ahead of me. I've got no chance. And eventually I was kind of like, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe there's no other way around it. So I sent out, I think it was like 70 CVs, and only one place got back to me. And I remember going in there and meeting with them and just being like, I will clean your kitchen. I will chop onions. I will peel potatoes. I will do anything you want me to. I know I'm old, which is ridiculous at 26.
Yeah.
Please just teach me how to do this. Like, I think this is what I love, and I think this is what I want to do. I mean, at the time, it was very much like, you know, Jamie Oliver and Nigella on TV. And I was like, yep, I could just cook on TV and be all like...
Is that how that passion started then? Or where did it come from in terms of... Obviously, there's the broader hospitality, but where did your passion for like food come from?
I genuinely think so. Like, I've made some notes because my brain is scatty as anything. But yeah, I think... So we grew up in a household that it was like ready meals from Iceland. Like, I hadn't had a proper homemade lasagna until I was 19, and I went to uni, and like a friend made it for me. And I was like,
blew your mind.
You can make this?
Yeah.
It doesn't come in a packet.
I
You
have a
just
really
shove
similar
in the-
story. I hated lasagna until I had a good one, and I was like,
absolutely crazy, right? And I just, that all this kind of, you know, area of food I've kind of been shut off to. My godfather used to pick me up from school when I was like GCSE A levels, and this was when chain restaurants first started to like be a thing, and he'd take me to like Pizza Express or Bella Italia, and I started to get a little bit of a taste for like going out to restaurants and enjoying it in that way. But again, like, it was still, and I think because school don't make such a big thing about, you know, like food tech classes and stuff, I never really realized that being a chef could be a career option. So even when I was going to all these restaurants and stuff, it was just like, oh, this is a nice experience. This is nicer food than what we're having at home. Like, it still didn't register that it was like, this could be something like amazing, really. So yeah, I think there's always been an interest in food, but never just kind of like underlying, like, I love eating, and it really wasn't until later that I kind of thought of it as a viable option.
So you were getting into it there. Tell us about your first job in the kitchen. Like, kitchens have come a long way.
Yes,
I know they have. We work tirelessly to try and sort of fight that fight. But what was your experience working in that environment for the first time as a young woman as well? You say you were old. You weren't old.
No, well, this is the thing. I was incredibly lucky. Like, so incredibly lucky. My first kitchen was a little place just outside of Leamington. In a little village. It was a pub, and Kev and Steve, who were my sous chef and head chef, they were kind of some, I'm going to offend them now, like older guys, like 50, 60, sort of, you know, that they've done all the hard years in the kitchens in like the 80s, and some of the horror stories that they would tell me, I was just like, this is awful. Yeah, like...
Or that cutthroat sort of...
And like shouting and screaming at people and stuff, like, you know, for leaning against the side or whatever. So I acknowledge I was so incredibly lucky, because I think at that stage as well, when I was just kind of finding my feet in it and realising that this was my passion, if they hadn't been so encouraging and like listening to my questions and stuff, then I don't think I would have lasted. Because we actually... In my 2 years there, we had an agency chef that was working when I first started, and he was very typical of this lad's mentality. Oh, we're going to get raped in service. And it's like, that's unnecessary language. Like, you don't know me. You don't know my background. can you
I can't just say,
it's going to be busy, we're going to get fucked. Like, you know, there are different ways of like stops, and it really sticks out in my mind because he would say it so much, and I just feel my whole body be like, oh
Yeah, that's horrible.
Why are you saying this? And then towards the end of my time there, we had another guy start. Again, he was kind of similar age to me, but obviously a few more years experience. But he came in with this cocky lad's attitude, like big ego, which you see in chefs and kitchens a lot. And it was really off-putting because whilst I had progressed very quickly and very well, so within 3 months I was running 2 sections, and then I had an apprentice as well as doing my own apprenticeship with Stratford-upon-Avon College for the first 3-4 years of my career. I wanted to learn. Everyone that came into the kitchen, every agency chef, I was like, tell me the stories about kitchens you've worked in. Tell me what you've cooked. What have you done? This, that, and whatever. And like, I found out very quickly, and it definitely seemed to be with a lot of the men more, but then also maybe that's just because you come across more men in that industry. It was all like bragging and, oh yeah, I've done 500 people on my own, and I've done this and I've done that. And it's like, cool, teach me.
Yeah.
I want to learn. I want to, you know, and then I'd get them to help me out in my section by making a batch of brulees, and they'd be scrambled egg. And I'm like, you don't know
So you
anything.
served 500 people on your own, but was it any good?
Sorry?
You served 500 people on your own, but was it any good?
Exactly.
Did you definitely feel like there was a different level of standard that you were held to compared to the male chefs in those environments, or did you ever?
I think that's a little trickier again, because a lot of it was like agency chef, but then moving on to my next place, which was fine dining and Two Rosette in Stratford, and that, there was definitely kind of a disparity. Like, I was the one that constantly like, what can I do? I want to progress. Like, I've come in, you know, I'd gone from commie CDP in my first place. I'm now CDP, and I've got a clear, I want to go down the pastry route. I want to do this. I want to progress to junior sous. And, you know, I'm looking at moving my career forward because I'm old at that time. And yeah, it just, everyone else, it was always like, okay, well, you can do these things. And I was kind of taking over some of the stuff because I'd noticed the guys that were the junior sous or were more senior to me, like not actually doing it, not keeping to those standards of like cleanliness, hygiene, organization, orders, you know, even just labeling and stuff in the kitchens, in the fridges. So like, I just, it felt like I started to try and put my head above everyone and be like, I want this, I'm trying. And when it came around to being like the positions open, the guys leaving, they're like, no, we don't want to promote you just yet.
Really?
Like, we still think there's, you know, some things that, you know, you need to learn. And it's like, I understand that. Like, I'm still relatively green, but I've done nothing but show you. I come in on my days off, you know, you send a message to the chef's chat saying the fridge has gone down, and I'm like, what can I do to help? You know, there's evenings off that I'd missed with partners or friends or things because, oh, well, actually, can you stay a few more hours, and can you do this? And I was always say yes, because I was so keen. Like, and it's hard now because obviously in the position I'm in and where I've been having to hire, you want people to show that mentality, but I've lived it and I know that it's a bit toxic. Like, I know that it's not good for everyone on the whole, like, and the business. So
it's tough, isn't it? Like, I always try and find this balance between, like, I know how many hours I do, and I know, like, if something needs to be done, I'll do it. But it's almost like you don't expect anybody else to do the same because you're trying so hard to protect their mental health and their energy. But it is hard, but I think it's just about taking people at their word, isn't it? And encouraging honesty, like encouraging them to feel that they can say no. I think that's the difficult thing. I've definitely worked places where you couldn't say no.
Yeah.
If you did, like, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
How bad do you want it?
There's definitely been times where I haven't wanted to say no because I've wanted to prove myself as well. And it's like, well, if I do all of these things, then surely I'm going to get that promotion because I'm doing the work. I'm showing that I'm keen. I'm showing that I want to progress and learn. And sometimes it hasn't sort of worked out like that.
But what if you've wanted to say no because you had an evening to go to?
Yeah.
Did you feel able to?
Probably not. Like, there was a time actually I was supposed to be having dinner with a partner, and work had asked me. I think think it was something really bad, like the head chef's dog had died, or mum's dog had died, or something like that. And I'd like messaged my partner. I was like, look, this has happened. They've asked me to cover. You know, we're only going for dinner. Could I just? And he was like, absolutely not. Like, we've made plans, and like you need to put your foot down. And so I said no, and then the guilt and the stomping around and whatever else, and you're just great. I could have just said yes. This would have made my life easier. Yeah, I would have had another 8 hours in this place today, but you know, I wouldn't have then had to tread on eggshells around other people. And yeah, it's a weird one.
Have there ever been moments where you've doubted this career path or the decisions that you've made?
All the time. Literally every single day.
Why?
Well, I do love it. And I think there's no other career that I want to do in terms of like food, and there's nothing else that sparks so much like passion and joy in me that I could like actually be like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. But again, it's tough. Like, so in the last couple of months, I've just been diagnosed with ASD and combined ADHD as well.
Shit.
Which is, kind of, now that I'm looking back on a lot of my life, I'm like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah.
How did we
all
never realize this before? Like, but I think our industry is a bit too fast paced. I think it's a bit too demanding. I think, you know, more and more is expected of chefs, of front of house, of, you know, just everyone to make the whole operation work. And the customers have been quite demanding and awful, I think, since the pandemic. And it really...
I'm saying nothing.
Such a great show, yeah.
I'm saying
like,
nothing.
You know, because when that happened, it was like, oh my God, we finally get to go out after months of being stuck in and things. We're so grateful that you're open. We're so grateful to...
The bar was then set, like, yeah.
And then I really thought it was going to sort of bring about a change in our industry. But it just, I think slowly we've just gone back down to that. You know, people have become more insular on themselves. They're my opinion and I think this and therefore it's right. And, you know, all of that. And I just...
Where do you see like the future of it then? Just going back to your point about like, you know, this is what you think needs to be done in terms of it being slowed down from a pace perspective. But then obviously COVID has kicked off this customer expectation that's through the roof. So you're just almost back in that mixing pot of shit. And then, but you know, do you see hospitality changing? Do you see the future? What do you think that looks like?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think I would like, again, you know, I thought this was going to be the case with the pandemic. I thought we'd kind of slow down a little bit. We're in an industry where, you know, we choose to some extent to miss our weekends, to miss our evenings, to miss Christmases, birthdays, important things like that, because we love what we do and we're open when everyone else is off. But I just, you know, I don't have all the answers. Maybe having more staff who work less hours to have better rotations and things. Like, I know that probably comes with a lot of issues in itself in managing business and people and money. But I don't think we're sustainable how we're running at the moment.
No, it makes sense, because I think from my perspective, especially because you two know a lot more about the hospitality industry than I do, I suppose the problem is when you're good at what you do, you're obviously going to get more demand and more customers come. But with that more demand and more customer comes, you know, do we cut corners here or there, or do we just accept it? Or, you know, when you think about the word boundaries in hospitality, it's like, it doesn't even fucking exist, does it?
Oh, God, no.
I think the thing that I completely agree, and it's something that I do not know the answer to. I am hyper aware of my team's mental health and their energy levels and what we're asking of them. But in this climate where everything's more expensive and it's harder to run a business and it's harder to make profit, that balance there, I have no idea how to
manage it.
How to manage that. And you know, the thing about more staff, fewer hours, you know, but what are then about how people are paying their bills, you know, things like that.
Exactly.
It's a wild time.
And I think because of all of that stuff as well, you know, that, like you're saying, the almost the better you are and the higher you climb, the more that's expected of you as well. And like, you know, I would for the most part, on a good day, consider myself a very capable person, a very competent, good chef without wanting to be too...
No, she's a fucking badass, yeah.
But it does make me question it. It does make me doubt it. Like, I've had an incident this year with my mental health where I was doing the job of 2 high-level chefs with very little support. And I needed to take 10 days off because I physically got to a point where I couldn't handle it anymore. Took time off, had a rest, came back, finished like the rest of the season, you know, raring to go. Everything went super smoothly. But now I'm like, oh, is that something? Is that the pressures of the job? Is that my brain with the ADHD and the autism? Can I not cope with these things anymore? Am I not a very good chef? Because, and again, like, I know obviously you're in a position where you are the head of that, but when you're then working for other people, it's their demands versus the customer's demands. And you've got to hit those GPs and targets and stuff, which again, not a problem, but you then need to be realistic about what we can serve people and, you know, how things are going to run and how it's going to look. Because if you want a certain GP, then we can't do a certain level of product. Like,
it's a knock-on effect.
Yeah. And it's all interlinked. And I think, you know, sometimes when you're in the middle of that between the customer and that sort of like upper management, whatever, it is just all on you. Why aren't you delivering this amazing food with these great prices and making us loads of money and, you know, working 7 days a week
and trying to manage your mental
not
health,
being burnt out and, you know, how dare you take time off work? Like,
but I have an interest there to know, it's fine, we don't need to name names, but like, how involved is that business owner then? Because I'm pretty involved and I know that it's an impossible thing to ask to hit a 75 to 80% GP while still serving the same food we were serving 3 years ago. I know that's impossible.
Yeah.
So how involved is this person that's saying that to you?
Not a huge, like, very much, I don't know what it's a helicopter, like, has to have a finger in everything. Has no clue about anything
absentee
other than their specific area of expertise, you know? Like, and again, it frustrates me, I think, and maybe this is being a woman in the industry. I actually had a manager once tell me that the boss didn't like me. Well, he didn't think that he liked me. He thought he was being harsh on me because I was a woman. And this guy was like trained to be HR, and it's like, and you're doing what about that? Like, are you gonna...
That's not okay.
Yeah. But I do wonder whether it is because I'm a woman, because I'm, you know, I do have 15 years experience in hospitality. I've got 8 years experience in chefing, or like nearly 8 years. So that's like expertise. I kind of know what I'm talking about to some extent. Like, I can have conversations about, you know, business and whatever, and how we should move things forward. And I've got ideas, but then I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's because I'm a woman. Maybe it's because I'm still now relatively young in comparison to some of these guys. They just ignore me. They just don't listen to any of the points that I have.
So you think that if a male counterpart said, no, that can't be done on that GP, the answer would be, okay, what can we do?
Potentially.
Yeah, fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm raging.
Yeah.
But I have it. I don't have it in that scenario, but in other scenarios where like a landlord or a bank might look at my business plan and question parts of it, and I know for a fact that somebody else I know is sat in front of this same person with a weaker business plan or something like that, and they're just like, yeah, no worries, here are the keys.
Yeah.
So like I get it, and it still exists, and it's not okay.
No. Oh, I've been reading so much, like listening to so many podcasts. Jamila, Florence Given, like reading her book at the moment. The title gives me the ick. Women living deliciously. Exactly. Like, but oh my God, absolutely insane. Like, and it's all of these things now that I'm trying to read and educate myself to give myself that confidence, because I've not had people behind me, you know, friends and stuff being like, you're amazing. Like my therapist is like, you do a great job. I'm like, I pay you to have these conversations. Like, I don't know if that works, but I'm now trying to get all of that confidence behind myself and start believing in myself so that I can go forward with how I want to push forward in my career, like how I want to take things, and not shut out all that noise of, you know, people kind of questioning you and putting you down, and then that makes you doubt yourself. And I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it.
Well, good for you. And this is nice, leads nicely into, let's talk about being self-employed, because, well, for me anyway, being a chef isn't one that you often sort of hear about in the same sentence as being self-employed. I know, I vaguely know it exists. So first of all, what does that look like for you? Because that's the next stage for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Talk us through that decision and yeah, what's happening next?
Well, it's a bit terrifying, but I think originally it came from kind of doing my job that I've just finished for the last 3 years. Is generally quite seasonal. So I needed something that I was like, I can pick this up when I have the time and then put it down when I'm doing other things. So that's where this idea sort of started to form in my mind. And then obviously things went pear-shaped with that. And then in getting my diagnosis, it's kind of like, okay, I now need to figure out, like, I have all these coping mechanisms in my brain and all these things that make my day-to-day life like more bearable and more manageable. But when I'm in work, and I think it was the thought of going back to pubs and restaurants and working 15-16 hour days again.
It's like the old triggers, yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, there was a time and a place at the beginning of my career where I kind of loved it. Like, you know, you wear it as a badge. I was in at 7:30. We didn't finish till 11:30. I was supposed to have a break, but I didn't. Like, you know, and then me and the head chef like drank a bottle of cooking wine out the back till 3:00 in the morning, and then we were back in work for 7:30. Like, that used to be a badge of honor. I'm too old.
Yeah.
I like sleep. Like, I want to focus on myself. I want to build, you know, better, healthier routines within my brain, within my body. Like, I know obviously you guys with the running and weight lifting, like, I'm starting to come around to, you know, I'll never be a runner ever. I'm just not built for it.
That's what they all say.
I used to say the same.
I'm not built for that.
We'll get her.
Kickboxing, you know,
Sick.
Love it. I love that energy, and I want to do stuff, and I want to start making time for myself to do these things. And, you know, in getting this diagnosis and understanding that maybe constantly pushing myself to go 1,000 miles per hour isn't the most sustainable way of being, and I really need to rein things back, take on jobs that I love and bring me passion
100%.
and allow me to manage my schedule, and also listen to what's going within and start to prioritize things like having a healthy exercise routine, having, you know, healthy meal times, or at least time that I can be like, I'm going to cook something instead of, oh God, I've got half an hour before, you know, service starts. I'm just going to shove something in my mouth.
Sugar,
Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons. And again, you know, we talked a little earlier with this whole, when you're kind of in the middle of like these upper management and then the customer side, I'm sick of having to listen to people that have no experience in my industry when I've worked my arse off for years to get where I am. And like, I still have so much learning to do. That's what I love about this. Like, I will never ever get to the end. I'll never know how to cook everything. I will never know how to create everything. And I just want a chance to explore all of that on my terms, and not someone else being like, well, I think you should cook this because I don't like this thing, or, you know, I think restaurants should be like this. Cool. Just
Go
because
open
you have an opinion, like, doesn't make it right.
Yeah. And I know we mentioned it earlier when you were talking about just how important, I guess, community and the people that you work with are. What role has that played in? I suppose now listening to you and what you've said, it's obviously you've got your passion for food and what you do and what you love. As toxic as it can be, I'm guessing that the people that you work with are the ones that are just keeping you sort of locked in and keeping you engaged when you do find that right crowd and the right community. And I know we're going to speak about it in a minute, but when you were speaking about sort of like your future ambitions and what you want to do, which we'll talk about later, what role has sort of community played for you in that, with the right people, not the toxic ones?
Because I think community is a really interesting one. You know, I think, and especially I've seen it, having worked both front of house and back of house, I've seen it a lot more in kitchens. You know, it's that brigade mentality. Like, we're a family, we're in it together. We're standing here for 16 hours in the same room with the same people. I'll chuck you a bit of toast because, you know, you're hungry. And there's that camaraderie with that, which when you're in it is such a lovely feeling. You know, you're all talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to go get a pub and I'll take you three with me and we'll go do this and open that. But I think because of where kitchens have come from and toxic masculinity, and that's been so prevalent in the industry for so many years, I really think that the community that I have experienced, whilst at times has been lovely, at times has been very toxic and very, you know, I, as a female, have felt like, well, I've got to join in this like locker room chat and the bants and whatever. And I hate.
Got to be like a caricature of yourself.
Yeah. But then,
oh,
as soon as you start sharing stories about a bad date or a bad shag, they're just like, oh, we don't want to hear that. And it's like, I've literally just had to sit and listen to much worse come from your mouth. Like, but because I'm a woman, you don't want to hear about a bad date that I had.
Ever mentioned your period in that room?
Oh, don't, honestly.
Sorry.
Just do it.
No. Well, again, another reason for the whole going self-employed, I've started to track my cycle. At 34 years old, no one has ever told me that your hormones have such a huge impact, and it's a 28-day cycle. This whole, 8-hour working day or whatever, the 12-month calendar is all designed around men. Like, there are 13 full moons in a year. There are 13 cycles in a woman's period. Like, there's just so much that's been changed to not work with us. I'm sorry, that's a bit of a tangent. But again,
I'm learning loads about hormones at the moment because the way that I'm training is affecting it, and I feel like I'm going crazy.
You need to read Period Power by Maisie Hill. Absolutely, like, incredible book. And she's got a couple of podcasts and stuff as well, but very, very interesting.
Because you strengthen your energy or dip between each phase of your period.
And it's just about learning and listening to that as well, I think. But yeah, sorry, back to community. I genuinely, like, I love food, and something that I kind of realised in the last few years. So, like, in between my jobs at the bakery and sort of moving past that, I had a little supper club, which I ran out of my flat in Leamington. And it was kind of born after the pandemic and this whole, feeling a bit socially anxious about going out and meeting new friends and living in a new area. And I was like, how do I like to bond with people over food? I love cooking for people. I love sitting there, discussing it, asking questions, being like, oh yeah, I did this to this. And, let's just have a big conversation. So I used to have like 12 people come to my house once a month. I wouldn't tell them what the menu was. I'd just ask for their dietary requirements and be like, we're going to sit and we're going to share a meal.
That's
and we're
so
going to
nice.
have a good night. So I think community is so important. And I hope going forward that I want to build that. Again, I guess going sort of like self-employed, it's going to be a lot about contacts and things. And I'm really looking forward to building like a healthy community around food and what I do, as opposed to, I guess, being forced into these like ones with in toxic environments. So
a pretty big question, I guess, but thinking back, if you could give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would it be?
Stay away from relationships.
Relationships? Like romantic?
Focus on the relationship with yourself. Like, genuinely, I mean, now that I'm sort of discovering all of this, I think it's an ADHD. Like, people are my special interest. I like, as soon as I'm honed in on someone, I'm like, I want to know everything about you. Favorite food, like, let's do all of this stuff together. But I think now I'm kind of realizing at this age, I should have spent more of my 20s figuring myself out more and working out what I wanted to do. And maybe, I feel like I'm on the right path now, but maybe I would have got there a little sooner. It's kind of, the experiences have made me who I am.
Sure, but what have you learned on the way, on that journey?
So much, but God, there's been so much pain and heartbreak and tears and.
But I would argue that that's made you the wonderful person that sat here in front of us today. But that's a big one, But like you say, it's just kind of into the wellness thing and like knowing yourself, putting time aside for yourself. So beautiful journey to be on. Okay, if you knew then everything you'd have to go through to get to this point now, this leads nicely, would you do it again?
I think so. I'm not somebody who. I have regrets. We all have regrets, but I don't believe in sort of being like, oh God, I wish I'd done this. Like, I think everything is an opportunity for a lesson. everything is a point to learn from and move forward and do things differently. Like every bad experience, every bad relationship, every bad friendship, everything, like you said, has kind of moved me into this position I am now and who I am. And whilst, some of it has been incredibly tough, like I think I would do it again. I think I wouldn't like to relive it again, but if it meant getting to this point, then definitely. Like I wouldn't give up my career for anything.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna get emotional.
I know,
I just love food.
Me too.
That's a good place to end the conversation. But if people wanted to know a bit more about you or get in touch, where can they find you?
Yes, I just launched just launching my private chef sort of catering business, and it's called 13 Plates. So we've got a website which is 13plates.com.
Let me check it out.
Or on Instagram 13_plates. I'm really not tech savvy, but I'm hoping to start like a Substack, start sharing my recipes and things as well. Just again, create that community, have that kind of I love sharing food. I just a little tangent, I had a boss once that would get really annoyed if customers would come up to me and be like, how are you cooking this, what's that? And I would give them the recipe and he's like, why are you giving them away, like they're supposed to be coming in? And it's like, they will go home, they will try and make it.
It won't work.
They won't be able to get it to the right seasoning or whatever, because that's what my palate, that's what I've trained for. And then they will come back and they will order it again because they'll say like, oh, we just loved it so much, but we couldn't get it quite right. But
also a lesson in the full experience. It takes a pretty insecure person to think that, sure, the food is a massive part of it, but how much is it about going out and the whole experience?
Yeah, definitely.
And also change your menu every now and again, and then they'll come back again.
Yeah.
Wild.
Shock. We'll tag the site and your Instagram as well. On the video.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming in and talking. It's been super interesting.
Thank you so much.
See you next time.
Bye.